Giants in Tanakh. Let's dig deep to find out more about the giants of long ago. There is a good reason to satisfy the thirst or the hunger for curious minds to know more about the giants of long ago of the ancient world. We are fascinated by giants or giant creatures such as dinosaurs, dragons, all of which existed during the lifetime of mankind on this earth, despite the propaganda of evolution, which is false. Every culture on earth described seeing dinosaurs and left the evidence, and also mentioned giants. But we're going to stick with the Tanakh and see that we can find the answers in our sacred text. Giants have been mentioned multiple times in Torah, all the way through the conquest of Canaan by the Israelites. Where do they come from? Adam and Eve and their children weren't giants. Noah was not a giant either. As a result of the great flood in the days of Noah, no living creature was saved except for the family of Noah. So where do giants come from is the question. Where do they come from? Let's start our detective investigation today in our sacred text. There are 3 Hebrew words which, according to the description given in Torah, symbolize that we can call giants these 3 phrases: Anakim, Rephaim, and Nephilim, or Nephilim. Sometimes a simple descriptive word, as in the Hebrew, it literally means mighty. This is an investigation I did years ago that I wanted to present on video, but I never had the opportunity, so now I will. In the book of Yehoshua, Joshua, chapter 15, verse 14, it reads as so: And Caleb drove out there the 3 sons of Anak, Shishai and Ahiman and Talmai, the children of Anak. Who are the children of Anak? Let's read the descriptive words of the Israelite spies in Numbers chapter 13, verse 33, where it says there, And there we saw the Nephilim, or the Nephilim, the sons of Anak, who are the descendants of the Nephilim. And we were in our sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight. I mean, listen to the description. They appeared as grasshoppers to these giants. We're not talking about 7 feet. We're talking about monsters. On the word of Rephaim, describing the giants, we read in Devarim chapter 3 verse 11, Deuteronomy chapter 3 verse 11, For only Og, king of Bashan, remained of the remnants of Rephaim. Behold, this is the remnants of the children of Rephaim. The remnants. So later in history, it says, Behold, his bed was made of iron. Is it not in the city of Rabbah, the children of Ammon? 9 cubits was its length thereof, and 4 cubits wide, according to the cubit of a man. Now, the size mentioned there translates to 13.5 inches times 6, which according to the Rambam in Talmudic literature, mean that King Og was about 9 feet tall. No wonder the spies talked about viewing themselves as grasshoppers compared to the giants in the book of Yehoshua. Perhaps they were even bigger because they're described as grasshoppers. So these giants were even bigger than what is described here for the bed made for this giant. Another famous example of a giant given in the book of Samuel, 1 Samuel, which spells out exact height of this giant. In 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 4, it says, And a fighter came out of the tents of the Philistines, named Goliath of Gath. He was more than 6 cubits tall. What is 6 cubits tall? It is exactly 9 feet tall. Same as above, the estimate that I read from Rambam, based on the king's bed size. Same height as Og, but this time the number of the measurement is spelled out in the scripture. And this living human monstrosity had quite an obvious impression on the Israelites. Remember, the only means of the war at the time was only hand-to-hand combat. Don't forget that. that back in those days there were not bombs or tanks or machine guns. This was hand-to-hand warfare with monsters. So you can understand why the Israelites had a heart attack when they saw these Philistines who were ginormous to them. How can you go hand-to-hand combat? Imagine being bare-fisted. I'm 5'5". Okay, I'm a small Jewish person. I go hand-to-hand combat with a giant that's 9 feet, 10 feet tall. I'll say, see you later. No thanks. I think I'll go home, actually. I think I'll go take a nap. I'd rather not, thank you. Thank you very much. God bless you in your journey. Go ahead. I'm going home. Think about it. Now, we have to understand what we are talking about here. We're talking about giants that we don't see anymore. The biggest person you can imagine is not big enough to imagine what the sizes were, and God only knows how big other giants were at that time. Now we're going to continue our detective investigation into the book of Genesis to find out where these Nephilim and Anakim came from. It says right here, listen to this, in Genesis chapter 10, verses 8 through 9. And Cush was the father of Nimrod, who was the first mighty men on earth. He was a mighty hunter. Therefore, Yahuwah, so that there is a saying, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before Yahuwah. The word mighty was used to describe giants of monumental proportions. Well, now we know that the giants are descendants of Nimrod. So we know that he is son of Cush. And who is Cush? And the sons of Ham were Cush and Mitzrayim, Put, and Canaan in Genesis chapter 10, verse 6. So there you have it. Now we know that Nimrod and giants after him came from Ham. But there is more. Remember, we found earlier locations where giants lived, as I spoke about earlier, in Canaan and Cush. Well, we just learned that both Cush and Canaan are sons of Ham. That's the point. You probably already know who Ham is. And the sons of Noah that went forth from the ark were Shem and Ham and Japheth. And Ham is the father of Canaan. There you go. These three were the sons of Noah. And of these was the whole earth overspread. That's in Genesis chapter 9, verses 18 through 19. Genesis chapter 10, verse 1. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. Since Ham, son of Noah, is not described as a giant, then the pointer points to right, his wife, as it takes two to have descendants. Who is she? Here is the detailed answer. The Nephilim on the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came unto the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. The same were the mighty, again, the mighty men of old. And to understand the meaning of this sentence, we need to understand the difference between sons of God and daughters of men. The wonderful explanation given to us by Dr. Gerald Schroeder in this article that I looked into, right here, reprinted here, that I put in this paper. In short, there were, let's call them proto-humans inhabiting the earth before Adam was created. Paleontologists find the remains of those in their digs. This makes Adam not simply first human, but first human of a new type having significant difference from any previous proto-humans of Elohim. Genesis chapter 1 verse 7 says, breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. So there's something significant about the beginning of Adam compared to the creation earlier in Genesis. We always have this misunderstanding. It talks about God creating human beings in his image, both male and female, and then going to Adam. So there's a difference. Now we know everything about the giants and their origin. Let's recall what we read about, or what I speak about my readings here, my studies here, there were proto-humans before Adam and Eve. Torah calls sons of his perfect creation Adam and Eve, or Hava, sons of Elohim, as to distinguish them from Creator's older model, sons of men. There's a difference there. Among the sons of men, some were giants. Sons of Adam and Eve took some of the daughters of those proto-humans as wives, which is the very reason why God, or Elohim, came up with destruction of all earthly life with the flood. Only the family of Noah and his sons were spared of the destruction. Among them, Ham and his wife. Wife of Ham was daughter of the Nephilim, the giants. They gave birth to Cush and Canaan. These two were their sons, to be traced to the fathers of the giants. And Cush to the giants among Amorites, King Og, and Canaan to the giants, Anakim of Hebron. Also, the Torah explicitly names the first mighty giant born after the flood as Nimrod, born to his father Cush, son of Ham. So now we can trace the giants' DNA in this sequence. Giants among proto-humans, first. Second, wife of Ham, Noah's son, daughter of the giants saved in Noah's ark. Now Ham's sons, Cush and Canaan. Nimrod, the first giant born after the flood. King Og, Anakim of Hebron, etc., etc., all being children of Cush and Canaan. And the rest is history of the great giants of long ago. Perhaps there were bigger giants. We don't know. Where did they go? Time will tell if they will reveal themselves or not, because there are infinite lands beyond the poles, both north and south. That's why they're sealed off. That's what they're hiding beyond there. So I hope this video was helpful, and I hope it was intriguing, because it is a fascinating topic to think of the great giants of long ago. Shalom. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope this video was helpful. Take care. Shalom.